Welcome to educator.com. This lesson is about the distributive property. In this lesson, you will learn to use the distributive property. Applications are to use mental math to quickly calculate your earnings. Let's look at the distributive property. You can think of the distributive property as giving out a number or multiplying out a number over addition or multiplying out a number over subtraction. If you were in a class and the teacher asked you to distribute papers, you would be giving out papers. So in the same idea here, you're giving out a number or a variable. In the first one, A is touching the parentheses, so you would give A to the B, creating AB, and multiply A with the C, AC, leaving the addition sign in the middle. In the second example here, notice that A is still touching the parentheses, although at the back. So you would still multiply B times A and C times A, leaving the addition in the middle. In the third example here, we have A times B, AB, and A times C, AC, leaving the subtraction in the middle. And in the fourth example, we have A at the back, which is being multiplied with the B, so BA, and then A with the C, CA, leaving the subtraction in the middle. So that's the different ways that the distributive property may look. Let's try using the distributive property. So what we've just learned is that the outside parentheses, 8, will be multiplied with the 9, giving us 72, and 8 with the 11, giving us 88. And as from the previous lesson we learned, it's easy to add numbers when they're in pairs. 2 plus 8 is 10. And 7 plus 8 is 15, and one more makes 16. Now let's think as if we use the order of operations. I would say 9 plus 11 on the inside is 20, and 8 times 20 is 160. Perhaps it would be easier for you to add the numbers inside, since 20 times 8 is very easily to 160. However, you might have a situation such as 8 times 7 plus 10. In this case, 8 times 7 is 56, and 8 times 10 is 80. So maybe here you could just say 56 plus 80, take out the 20, so 136. However, if you were to think 8 times 17, that might be a little more difficult. So sometimes you need to make the judgment. Is it easier to add on the inside, or is it easier to separate the numbers and add them while they're smaller? And then you have the other situation where you can't simplify within the parentheses. For example, we don't know what h is, so I can't simplify inside the parentheses anyways, so I'll use the distributive property to simplify. 7 times 12 is 84. And then 7 times h is 7h. Here, once again, I can't simplify inside the parentheses because I don't know the value of m. So I'm going to use distributive property. 5m plus 2 times 5 is 10. Let's use the distributive property to work with mental math. A drugstore charges $2.90 for each box of tissues. What is the cost for 5 boxes of tissues? So I'm going to say 5 times 2.90. I'm going to break up the cost of the tissues into dollars and cents. So it's going to be $2 plus 90 cents. So I've taken $2.90 and broken it into dollars and cents. Now 5 times 2 is $10, and 5 times 90, or 5 times 9, is 4.45 with a 0 and 2 decimal places, $4.50. Now it's easy for me to add those two numbers, $14.50. Whereas originally, 5 times 290, I probably would have had to write out the problem as 2.90 times 5 and done a multiplication table. But by breaking up the 290 into $2.90, I could easily think in my head, 5 times $2 is $10, and 5 times 90 cents is $4.50, and then added the $10 with the $4.50 to get $14.50. So I might have been able to do that calculation in the store without having to do any writing. A summer job as a dog walker pays $8.90 per hour. How much does the dog walker earn for working 7 hours? So I'm going to take 7 times $8.90. Well, I don't know $7 times $8.97 times $8.90 off the top of my head, but if I break the $8.90 into $8 plus 90 cents, I can do my multiplication much faster. 7 times 8 is going to be $56, and 7 times 90 cents is going to be $6.30. And now I can just add the dollars here, which would make it $62.30. So by breaking up the money into dollars and cents, I no longer have large numbers to work with. I can work with a very simple 7 times 8 and a very simple 7 times 9 instead of working with a number such as 89. A teacher orders novels for a class of 30 students. Each book costs $6.90. What is the total cost? I'm going to take 30 students and multiply times $6.90. I'm going to break the $6.90 into $6 plus 90 cents. This way, I only have to do 3 times 6, which is 18, and another 0, $180, and then 3 times 9, which is $27, because we have the extra 0 here. And 180 plus 27, well, 80 plus 20 will give me 200 plus the 100 and then 7. So $207. So by breaking up the dollar into 6 and 90 cents, instead of having to do 30 times 69, I now only had to do 3 times 6, adding on the 0, and 3 times 9, adding on the 0. So the total then, you could add the 8 and the 2 as a pair, giving you 100, plus this 100, and then the ones finally, 207. So using the distributive property helps you to break down numbers. And in this case, we've been breaking down money into dollars and cents. This also helps you to not have to carry over numbers, which can be difficult to think about mentally. Your class is selling sandwiches at a fundraiser for $2.90 each. How much money does your class make for selling 20 sandwiches? So we're selling 20 sandwiches at $2.90 each. And as before, we're going to break up the $2.90 into just dollars and then into just cents. So now instead of having to do 20 times 29, I only have to do 2 times 2, which is 4, with the 0, 40, and 2 times 9, which is 18, with the 0. And 40 plus 18 is very simply $58. So that's a lot faster than thinking 20 times $2.90 altogether. Your community garden group plants 8 rows of tomato plants. Each row has 26 plants. Find the total number of plants. So far, we've been breaking apart cents and dollars. You can also break apart place values, such as the tens and the ones. So 8 times 26. I'm going to break apart 8 times 26 and make it 20 plus 6. So now I only have to do 8 times 2, which is 16, tack on the 0, and 8 times 6, which is 48. We see the pairs here, 60 and 40, will give us, with the 100 here, will give us 200, and then with an extra 8. So 208, rather than 26 times 8, which may be something that you would have to write out. Just by breaking it into 20, you can do 8 times 2 is 16, and 8 times 6 is 48. So those are multiplication tables that you would have memorized, most likely, but you might not have 8 times 26 memorized. So the distributive property shows us how we can break apart the numbers and then add them back together. Thank you for using educator.com.